Hi, welcome to the team roping system from Rodeo Ready. The team roping system is built on the Rodeo Management System platform, which is in use across North America, South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. With the team roping system, we are following the same plan as we did with Rodeo Management System and the barrel racing system, where first we develop the core functionality, then we keep adding more features when requested by users. We estimate that 2/3 of the features in our software are directly a result of user requests and suggestions. A few of the big differences in the team roping system compared to other programs is that the team roping system is 100% online. There is no software to download, no installs. We also feature online entry, a huge time and stress saver for the admin side and a huge convenience for your roping members who can enter and pay online ahead of the competition. To get started, we log into the admin side. We simply click on the admin link, enter in our username and password, and click the login. This brings us to the dashboard, which includes our main menu as well as our message center, which will update you with any new features that have been added, and we can jump to the user guide that has all of our instructions. As we work through this demo, we'll bounce back and forth between the admin side, which is this left-hand side over here, and the public side, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. The admin side is only accessible via the admin username and password, while the public side is visible to all, always. A quick overview here of our menu system. It is arranged somewhat in chronological order for how you will manage a competition, from the dashboard to setting up competitions and events, such as generating draws, some reports that you will use during the competition, the ability to enter and calculate results. You can use the system to print receipts and actually print checks. We have a full-blown member database system in place to keep track of everybody. We have a number of reports. We won't go through the reports in this demo video. We also have a number of settings, which are a number of options that allow you to customize the system to best fit your needs. For clarification, I'm first going to go over a couple of terms as we use them in the team roping system. We mentioned competitions. Competitions are also known as roping dates. This is the date or dates of a set of roping events that are managed together within the program. Roping events are the specific events a competitor chooses, such as a number 10 roping or a round-robin roping. A competition can consist of as few as one roping event or may have many roping events within it. In our demo system, we have already entered some test data so that we can show it off during this demo. We have 4 competitions in place, and within each competition there are a number of events. We can look at these events by choosing the competition, and here we see the September 25th roping. We have 7 different events. In the October 4th roping, we have 4 different events, and in the October 24th roping, which is the one we'll be using for this demo, we have 3 events that we'll be entering and managing throughout this demo. Results have already been entered for the first 2 competitions here, where we have entered a number of ropers, a number of teams, ran the draw, ran through the progression through rounds, entering times, and then calculated results as well as payouts. So we'll be able to take a look at these and include them in our season standings. You will also notice in our October 24th roping that we have included a non-team event. We've included ladies breakaway roping in this example, as you can manage non-team events, individual events such as breakaway or pole bending or barrel racing. Those can all be managed within the team roping system as well. What you will notice in the team roping system, especially on the admin side, that's mostly a set of display tables, some input forms, and a relational database behind everything, storing all the information. When you are working in the team roping system, whether you are editing existing information or setting up something new, you will be using the same forms. Because of how team roping system is able to store information in the database, all the data is available to the programming, so you should never have to type the same information twice. When changes are made on the admin side, they are immediately in effect throughout the system. We will see this shortly. When getting started in team roping system, first we set up a competition. Because we are using the demo system with existing data, we will choose to edit an existing competition. So let's work on October 24th. So let's correct the location to remove one of the E's in Fish Creek. We can see the other information available here, which includes the start date and end date. This is a one-day competition. We have our entry open date and time, and entry close date and time, and this allows us to determine when we will allow members to enter online, when they can start entering and when they must be finished entering. In this case, we are finishing the online entry at 3 o'clock, actually on the date of the competition. We have some other fields here, and we'll talk about these as we work through the demo. So now that we have edited the location, the spelling of Fish Creek, we will simply save this, and then we will look over here to the right on the public side, and initially this October 24th was showing as Creek with 3 E's. Now if we refresh this, what we will see is that updates everything on the public side as well. And as I mentioned, we had set our online entry close date and time to be Monday, October 24th, which is today at 3 p.m. It is currently 4:10 p.m. here. So the ability to enter this competition has actually passed. But what we'll do is we will just show how the system works, and we will change our time here to 5 p.m. I missed 5 p.m. and we will save that, and then we'll go back to the public side here and we will refresh it, and now you see that the enter button appears. So because it is now, as I said, it's 4:10 and that is before 5 o'clock p.m. so members are allowed to enter. So this enter button will appear when they are allowed to enter. So now let's have a look at the member database. To do so, click on Members, Manage Members. In order to track and manage all the entries, generate draws, and produce results in the team roping system, each entrant in a competition must first be a member in the system. As you see here, we have a number of test members in our database. With each member, we store the header rating and their healer rating, which we will need for a number of the draw rules when forming teams. You can also see we can record and track a large amount of information on your members, if that is what you require. If we click the edit link for any of these members, we can then make changes to the information, such as changing a header rating, as we did here, changing a healer rating, and then that information will be available for the system to use. So now we have our members in place. We have competitions in place. Let's set up some roping events within a competition. So we will go to Competition Setup, Manage Roping Events. As I mentioned previously, we already have 3 events in here, and it's the same thing here. We use the same forms whether we are adding a new event or whether we are editing an event. So to edit an event, we would simply click on the name of the event, and this pulls up our event setting forms. So in addition to creating a new event or editing an existing event, there is also the ability to copy a roping event from a previous competition, so that if you wish to run the same event at a future competition, you can simply copy all those settings and you don't have to go through this form again. All you would need to do would be to change the dates. One of the things we've also added here is some detailed descriptions of how each roping event type works. You can scroll to the bottom or click this link, and here we have a description of the various different roping type events. We will scroll on back up to the top of this, and you'll see that our settings for the pick and draw event have 5 different areas where we can set information. There's the general information, such as what we're going to name the event, the date that it will occur, and the approximate time that we will display this on the schedule, the approximate start time of that event. We have a number of roping event types here that you can pick, as well as some more detailed settings. And as I mentioned, there are other types that we can manage within the system, such as breakaway roping, calf roping. You could actually manage other events in here, non-roping events, if you wished as well. Then we would set our rounds and fees, the number of rounds or the number of head for this roping event, the entry fee, how many times a member can enter this event in this competition, and a number of ways to add and subtract money from the prize purse, as well as charge out a stock fee and a association fee or a producer fee. In terms of event settings, we can set things such as max and min team ratings, max and min header and healer ratings. We can determine after which round this event becomes progressive, how many will advance on to the short round, and we can set the draw order of each individual round as needed. And in some events, such as say masters events or youth events, you may wish to use some age settings to restrict entry in these events to members who fit within certain ranges. Then we can set the payout rules, where we specify what percentage of the prize purse or of the pot we will be paying out by round. In this case, this was a 3-round or a 3-head roping event. We are going to pay out 100% of the pot in the 3rd round, which will also be the short round. We will pay out 3 different holes, and we will pay those as 50% to the first place, 30% to second, and 20% to the 3rd place in this event. You can, of course, split this across rounds if you wanted to pay out 25%, 25%, 50%. So however you wish to split out the prize payout, this is where you would set that. We can also set handicaps within the team roping system. Now, typically these are used in a slide event, but of course you can, in the team roping system, you can set them for other events as well. So you would simply specify the team rating up to a certain number and how many seconds you would add to that team, again as the handicap. And so in a number 10 handicap, it may be number 12 adds 2 seconds, number 11, team rating of 11, adds 1 second. Then as a 10, you wouldn't be adding anything, so we'd leave that. Then as a 9, you would subtract a second, etc. So you have the ability to set the handicaps here. And then we would save this if we've made any changes. We now have competition set up, including the October 24th roping, which is the one that we are currently managing. we have members in the database, we have roping events set up within the competition, as you see here, and the next step will be to receive and manage entries. As the entries are completed, members and the admin will receive an email notification of the entry. You can also view all the entries in Competition Setup, Manage Roping Entrance. So here you can see for the October 24th roping, and this will be organized by the event, as well as showing the team here. So our number 12 slide roping has a number of teams entered. Our ladies breakaway has a number of entrants, single entrants obviously, and the pick and draw has a number of teams entered, and as in this case, in this event type, as the team is entered, it also automatically creates, separates out the header and the healer into teams that then will be drawn to make up the rest of the team. We now have competitions set up, including the October 24th competition we are managing, members in the database, and we have roping events set up in the competition. The next step will be to receive and manage entries. As online entries are completed, members and the admin will receive an email notification of the entry. You can also view all the entries in Roping Setup, Manage Roping Entrance. Let's have a look at that now. So here we have a listing of all of the entrants in our competition so far by event, sorted by event. So here we have the number 12 slide roping, we have the ladies breakaway with some entries, and we have the pick and draw with some entries. There are three ways to get entries into the team roping system. The first is by members entering themselves online. This, of course, is the number one recommended method, as it removes all the time and effort burden from the admin and allows the individual member the convenience of entering ahead of time. Members can enter online by clicking the Enter icon button on the public side. So over here, we'll go to the October 24th roping, and we will click the Enter button, and this will bring up the entry form. So the member begins by entering their number. So we're going to use some members we have in the system, and then they would choose which events they want to enter. So they would choose pick and draw. This member is the healer and their partner, that member number in. And if a event can be entered more than once, as per the settings for your event, you'll see that this event appears twice. You'll see that the slide roping appears 3 times, and you'll see that the breakaway appears only once. Now, if you are unsure as to your roping partner member number, you can scroll up, and there is a link to the member list right here, which will show all the members and their member numbers. So we'll also enter this member in the slide roping. And when we are finished, we'll click the next button. Now what happens when we click the next button is that the entry form is going to test for the quality of the entry. It's going to test to make sure that the member numbers entered, both the member as well as the roping partners, are actual members, that the header and healer roles have been selected. If your association uses paid memberships, it will check that all of these members have been paid. It will test for duplicate entries. It will test to make sure nobody has any fines owing in the system. And it will also test that for numbered roping such as this, that your members meet the max and min ratings as well as the team overall rating. And then we would click Next to submit this. And this brings up the review so that the member can check to make sure everything is correct. They've entered this event, and then they can submit their entry. So as you see here, it shows that the entry was saved, and here is a listing of the of the events that have been entered, as well as the fees. And what you'll see is that here's the slide roping, here's the pick and draw, and because it is a pick one, draw one, they're entered once as the pick and once as the draw. And here's the roping partner, again, once as the pick, once as the draw, and the number 12 is in there as well. Now, if we click this button, if you are set up on our payment platform, the member can pay immediately, and they can choose if they want to pay for both at the same time, or they can turn one off if they only want to pay for their own entry. The second way to get entries into a competition is for the admin to enter them using what we call the roping entry admin override. So if we go to the dashboard, we find this link right here. And what we will see is that it brings up the entry form, the same entry form that the members would use, with this exception. It has admin override in effect so that it will ignore any dates or duplicate checking, which allows the admin to add entries even if the dates have passed, or even if duplicates are already in there, so the admin can do what they need to do. In this case, we are going to just mock it up the same as we had it for. And as you can see, you can put in make the same type of selections here, and it will work in a similar fashion. Now, we've just submitted this entry, so if we were to submit it again, it would actually allow us to do that. But just to show you that this is the same form, we'll just move on. And here we have the same summary information. We won't actually submit it because I don't want these duplicate entries in here. The third way to get entries into the competition is using the bulk entry feature. For that, we would go to competition setup, manage roping entrance, which is where we already are, and we'll find this button, add bulk entries. This feature would most often be used on the day of the competition for walk-up entries. Now, in order to be entered into the bulk entry, the members must first be in the member database. We also do have in members, we have a bulk add members form so that you can add a number of members quickly, because time is usually short on the day of the competition. So we'll return here to the add bulk entries. When we are using this, we would select the header. So we'll just pick this member here, and then we would also select the healer. And then we would choose which event we are entering them in. In this case, we're going to do number 12. And we can actually enter them multiple times here. Now, this is all being done on the admin side, so it does expect that the admin does understand the settings for these events, so they won't enter them more than they should. Now, let's take the same group here, or let's take a new group. Let's take this member, a new team here, as well as this team. Let's put them in the same event. Now let's also at the same time, let's enter that first team into the pick and draw. Now, when you're entering into a pick and draw event, it will only enter it exactly as you've set it up here. So because this is a pick and draw and it was a pick one, draw one, we will actually need to add manually these other the draw portion of this team as well. And let's also add this team into the pick and draw. And add the header individually and the healer individually here. And what you'll see is also you could add entries into any of the events that you have in this comp. When we are done with our selections, we will just hit the submit button. Now, any of these rows where we haven't selected anything, they will simply be ignored. So we send in the submission and we have a quick summary of some entries that were made. And now if we scroll through and we're back in the Manage Entrance screen here, we can see these teams that we've added. This was one of the teams that we added, as well as the other team was this one here. So those teams have been added, and if we scroll down to the pick and draw, we can find the one team here that was added, team 4 and 5 added as a team, and test 4 was added on its own, and test 5 was added on its own, as well as the team of 7 and 8 with 7 as a draw and 8 as a draw as well. So all of those have now been added. So now that we have our entries in place, and obviously with a live roping, there would likely be many more entries, many more teams than this. But for this demo, we will keep it to a small number of teams to allow us to run things quicker. Now the next thing we would do, if all of our entries are in place, is we would run a draw. Now before we do that, I'm going to just have a look at what the draw looks like. And this is for the October 24th roping. It is showing all the events, and as you see, we have our rounds. But we have no entrance in them yet because the draw has not been run yet. So we will go to Competition Setup, Generate Competition Draw. Obviously, we'll choose the 24th. And for the first time we run, we will need to initialize. So at this point, we can choose to run the draw on one event only, or if we leave that unselected and select the rodeo and then click to generate the draw, then it will generate the draw for all of the events, everything except for the short go draw. So it tells us all of these placements were made as we scroll through the list, and all entrants were placed in the draw. So now if we go back and have a look at that draw preview, we can now see for the pick and draw, it has generated the draw for the first round. We can't see the draw for the second round yet because it is a progressive draw. So that will be based on what happens in the first round. The slide roping as well, and the breakaway. So again, we can see the draw that is in effect now. Now, sometimes when a draw is generated and we take a look at things, for one reason or another, there may be somebody that needs to be moved. So let's just take a look at ladies breakaway here, and let's say that we have to move some people in the order. Let's say we have to switch this member and this member. So we can do that by going to Assign Entrance, and we will choose the event we're working with. And as it loads up here, we will see that it shows the members in order, and we can switch the order of these two people, submit the changes, and we're switching Jane and test 11. And it has now swapped 11 and Jane. So if we go back to the draw, we'll now see that those two have been switched around in order. And we can do that with any of these events. We can move teams from whatever position they are in the draw to a different position as needed. So looking at the public side, we've ran a draw, but even if we refresh this page over here, you will see that it still does not have the draw button showing up. So this is easy for us to make that show up. We go to Manage Competitions, we choose the roping that we're working on, and now we turn on this button, and I'm just going to turn on Show the Draw as well as Mark It Official. And what this does when we click these on is it will tell the display on the public side that we can now show the draw on here. Of course, that won't happen until I save the button, until I save these settings. And what it also does is it asks us a question: do we want to send an email notification to all the entries? So if we click on this button, then there will be an email notification. It will include a link to the draw so that members can see in what position they've been drawn into for each of the events. So now that we've set that, we'll also go over here to the public side. We'll just refresh this view, and now we see there's that draw button, and we will have a look here, and we can see there is the same draw that we were looking at from the admin side. So one other thing to point out is now that we've ran the draw and we're looking at it over here on the public side, as we scroll through, you look at this event, the pick and draw event, which was a pick one, draw one, and previously we had a list of teams, the pick teams, as well as the draws, which had one member only. The draw generation process puts those teams together, matching headers with healers, and if there are specific team ratings along with the header healer ratings, then it will match those up to make sure it fits the rules of the event as you've set it. So now that we have the draw in place, now what we're going to do is look at what happens on during the event. And so we will use our announcer sheet, or our progressive announcer sheet. And so we are going to, we've already chosen October 24th roping. We're going to choose the number 12 slide, and we're going to work with the first round. And what you'll see is that at the top of the screen, which is going to stay in place as we scroll, is this announcer script is going to tell us who's coming up next. So next up is Team 1, because nobody has ran yet, and the members on the team on deck and in the hole is here as well. So this is round 1. We are just going to have a look here. We can enter a time, and so the G is gross time, the P is penalty time, and because this is a slide roping, the rating of this team is such that it receives a -2. So we are going to enter in a time of 8.45. They didn't receive a penalty this time. And what we can do is we can just hit enter. And when we do that, it's going to save that time, is going to use the handicap of -2. And so their net time is 6.45. And so the announcer script here is going to, it will update. So we call this our progressive announcer sheet. It updates every time you submit a score. So now it's telling us Team 2 is up next. Team 3 is on deck. In the hole is Team 4. And it is telling us that Team 2 needs to catch a time of 7.449 to take over first place. And what that is doing is it's also taking into account the fact that Team 2 has a handicap of -1 here. So a time of 7.449 -1 would be 6.449, which would put them in first place based on the net time of Team 1. So let's give them a time of 7.599, and let's hit enter. So now that we've submitted the time for Team 2, you will notice that it's also using the slide handicap and has put in a net time. And based on this, it now tells us Team 3 is up, Team 4 is on deck, in the hole is Team 5, and that Team 3 needs to catch a time of 8.449. Again, they have a handicap of -2, so we will enter them actually we're going to say that they had no time, they did not catch, and we'll move on to Team 4. We can enter a time in here of let's say 6.89, but they had a 5-second penalty, and then we're going to hit the enter on that, and we can see that what it did is it took the gross time, it added the penalty, it took out their handicap, and they ended up with a time of 9.89. So now, through the magic of editing, I'm going to complete the rest of these times, and we'll catch up in just a second. So once we have entered all the times, everybody now has their net time. What we will do is we will move on up to the top here, and we will choose round number 2. And because this is a progressive draw, what we will see is that we have lost team 3 as they had no time. We've lost team 6 with a no time. So now we continue on and enter times for the second round. And the progressive announcer list up here is going to again, starting off with the order of the draw here, tell us team 1, then team 2, team 4, because we're skipping team 3. And so we're just going to enter a time here of, they're going to get a 7.98. And once it has a time, and now we have a time to beat, one of the things it does is it shows us the combined time and the number of rounds. So we now know that Team 2 is up next and that they will need a time of 7.829 to take over first place. Because this is the second round, the slide handicap has already been accounted for. So we would enter these times gross and penalty, and there would be no additional addition or subtraction based on the slide handicap. So again, through the magic of editing, I will enter some times, and we'll end up with our final list from round 2. So we have now entered all these times. Round 1 and round 2 has been completed. We will select round 3, and what we'll see is that this note comes up. This round requires you to generate the short go draw. Again, this was a 3-round progressive. The third round is the short go. So now that we have the remaining teams after the first 2 progressive rounds, we will need to generate the short go draw. So we can click on this link, and it knows which roping we are working in. We want to run the short go draw, and so we will select that, and we want to run it on this one here. So now as we scroll down, we'll see it says it's running the short go draw. It has set these members in position, and so now we can go back to the announcer sheet, and we see that round 3 now has all of the teams in order based on fastest time first is how we happen to have this one set. So we would be able to enter in some times, and I'm just going to quickly show you a few. We can enter these times directly or individually, and then hit enter, and it would submit. And we're going to put in a very fast time, but they managed to have a penalty. And then we would hit save. So now that we have all of the times, now that this event has been completed, rounds 1, 2, and the short go round of round 3, now that, again, the times are in, we can now calculate the payout results. And to do so, we go to results, enter results unofficial, and we would choose the event that we're working in. And what we see here is it has all of the information from all of the rounds here. We can double check it here if we wish, but we just go down and we hit submit results, and it's going to give us a breakdown of the fees, who they're being paid out to, the net purse, and how it's going to pay out. And because we set this so that all the money is paid out to the final round, it's only going to pay out to the final round, and we will see we have our calculations here as to who gets paid. And now if we go, we can look at the roping results, and this is going to show us based on what's been completed to date. We've now done the number 12 slide roping, and here are the teams, and what each one of them was paid. So if we look over here on the public side again, let's go to the schedule, which is sort of the default view. We see that the draw is still there, but we don't see a link for any of the results, such as we do for the previous rodeo. So that's because we haven't, on the admin side, said that we are willing to share or willing to show the results on the public side yet. So if we go to the public side here, sorry, to the admin side, we go manage competitions, we choose our October 24th roping, and we tell it to show results on the public side and save some time. We're just going to call it official. And again, we have the ability to send an email notification to all of the entrants saying that the results are now available online. And what this does, along with the draw notification, is it very quickly trains your members to stop calling you, stop texting you, stop asking you if the draw is up yet or if the results are up yet, because they will start to receive notifications when they are. And that notification, again, will include a link which will take them to the results. So we are just going to refresh this, and now we see the results are available online. And so there's the same information. We've completed the number 12 roping. Of course, we haven't done the pick and draw or the breakaway yet, so those results are not yet available. But here it is showing the results for this competition and this event. So we would follow the same process, working through the announcer sheet. For any of the other events, such as the pick and draw, we would start at the first round, and we would see the draw, and we could go through and enter times. We won't do that for the demo, as we've shown you one already. What we will show you as well is a lot of team roping producers do not have their own website. They may have a Facebook page, but there is a way to share the public side with your members. And so what we'll do is we will just go and show you where to find that. So we have a number of links that are generated within your account. So if you go to user guide, and then if we scroll all the way down this long list of instructions, you'll come to a section that says adding links to your website. If you have your own website, you can copy and paste this link here, this bit of code. It's called an iframe code, and what it does is it places places the public side of the team roping system, places this right into a window on your website, so your members could access the rodeo schedule. Is actually the default view. They could access this and have the ability to use all of these page views as well. Now, if you don't have your own website and you would be posting this, say, on a Facebook page, then we would recommend using this link here, the schedule link. And you'll notice at the end of this, it has organization, and this is the TRS demo account. So it's going to post a link that would be specific to your organization. And this link in particular takes them right to this, to the schedule here. You can also post a link to members, to the draws, to the results, and to the standings as well. So let's just take a peek at the standings. And by default, what the team roping system does as it calculates and loads up here is that it will generate a all-around standings list based on your member classes. So if you have an open class, maybe have a permit class, maybe have a junior membership type, and it will track by header and healer all of the dollars won. So that is the end of the demo here. Again, you would follow through essentially the same process to set up your next competition. You can, as we've said before, copy events from previous competitions and work through the same process again. We will remind you here that a couple of the key differences with the team roping system as compared to other systems that may be out there is that this is all 100% online. There is nothing to download. All of the programming code, all of the data is stored in the cloud securely, so you don't have to worry about losing data because it's not on your computer. It's stored on our web servers. Also, we have the online entry. Some people might call that advanced entry or pre-entry, as well as online payments. So you can actually take a lot of the hassle, a lot of the commotion out of the competition day itself by having your members enter online in advance, pay in advance, and when they show up for the competition for their events, they'll be done. They're just ready to ride. And we hope you enjoyed the demo and enjoy the team roping system.